So here we need to talk about bell curve. I guess you already remember that from the previous section. Um, I said that everybody's IQ gonna be something between like every average person's IQ gonna be something between 85 to 115. But the question here is, did I actually measure everyone's IQ out there and came up with this claim? No. So how come I'm saying that the average possible IQ gonna be 100 and average people in general, they would have IQ between 85 to 115? The answer is here, representative sample. I'm actually claiming that based on a representative sample, which means like I looked at the population, I actually pulled up some information from that population, like the best representative people from different parts of the world, for example, from Africa, from China, from India, some small countries like Iran, Turkey. And I came up with the idea of 100 as an average IQ and something between like 85 and 115 as like the total population of average people with just normal IQ. So in those cases, since we cannot actually measure everyone out there, we just came up with the idea of representative sample. What actually makes a good intelligence test? We have like two broad criteria. Number one gonna be reliability, which means like whenever you are just repeating a test or an IQ test, you always gonna get the same results. For example, let's say if I would conduct one IQ test in Africa and I would conduct the same IQ test on the same person in China, the result must be the same. Okay, I will give you another example. Just imagine if I would have test A, which is just all about IQ, and I would have Armita in China, like the same Armita, the result must be the same as if I would conduct the same test, test A, on Armita in the United States. The result gonna be same. So what is reliability? It is like repeating the same measure over and over and getting the same results. What is validity? Validity is just also important. It means like your test supposed to test whatever it has to test. For example, if your test is about IQ, it must just measure the IQ. It shouldn't actually give you an idea about depression, about anxiety during the test, nothing like that. The validity is just all about measuring whatever you are supposed to measure. We had the same ideas in chapter 2. We talked about this a lot. We had the same questions. We might have almost similar questions as chapter 2 again, because like the concept is similar. But just keep that in mind. We might have a reliable measure, but this measure might not be valid. But we cannot have a valid measure which would have been reliable. Nope. Reliability doesn't go with validity, but we might have reliable tests, but this reliable test might not be valid. For example, let's say I can just measure an IQ test, like conduct an IQ test on different people. Every time I might get the same result, but the problem is actually it is not an IQ test. It was like an anxiety test. And I actually didn't figure out that this is a wrong test. This is not valid for the idea of IQ. And I accidentally ran that test over and over, but it was reliable. It wasn't valid. So keep that in mind. What else? Another point here is about the source of intelligence. It might be heritable, which means like it might come from your genes. It might come from your parents. And actually, the whole idea of adoption studies, like children who actually are growing up with someone else except their biological parents, they actually showed us their IQ is just more similar to their biological parents, not not the parents that currently adopted them. So it seems like biology and genes are very impactful in the idea of IQ. Another point here is just Feline effect, which actually saying that human intelligence is just rising over time, and probably we are smarter than the previous generation.